Hey, it's James from Marketing for Restaurants, and welcome to episode 94 of Secret Sauce, the Restaurant Marketing Podcast. 7 reasons you should think about selling restaurant gift certificates.
Some restaurants are quiet, lose money, and the owner works 70 hours a week. Other restaurants are busy, profitable, and the owners work a few hours a day. What's the difference? They have a secret sauce. Join James from Marketing for Restaurants as he helps you come up with your recipe for restaurant success. Your secret sauce.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope that everyone is super excited about their holiday plans, especially if it's been a little while since you've taken your last holiday. I'm excited. We've booked our next big holiday. We're heading off to Shanghai for a week and then another cruise with Princess Cruises. And I really mean it when I talk about the importance of taking a holiday. And yes, I don't run a restaurant, but we've got a business. There's 25 people in the business all up. Tina, my wife who works with me, she's the general manager of half of that business. So the owner and one of the general managers is out of the business for, we're going to be away for 3 weeks. So we're really big on the process, profits, and people that you need to be able to take a holiday. Now, what we want to do today is we're going to talk about restaurant gift certificates. This is really exciting, and it's even more exciting because traditionally restaurants have used a third-party provider to provide the infrastructure to sell gift certificates, unless they were selling, the paper-based ones, but that's not very good, not very efficient. What we are doing now is we are launching our free restaurant gift certificate system. So very similar to Forbes, very similar to Frollo. The reason that we've done it is that, some of our customers are making significant amounts of revenue with gift certificates. So it's something that I think should be really brought into the mainstream for a lot of restaurants. Make it nice and easy for you to sell gift certificates. And of course, feed that information into your restaurant CRM system. And our CRM system, there's work going on all the time, fine-tuning it, making it better, helping us to get towards our goal of being able to provide you with automated restaurant marketing. We think that's really important. Before we get into restaurant gift certificates, though, we want to have a quick chat about Adrianos Zombo. Now, everyone in Australia will have heard of Zombo's Patisserie. Adriano Zombo, the head chef there, the owner, very, very famous dessert chef, really had his big break when he appeared on MasterChef and created a croquembouche as one of the pressure test challenges. Really famous for his macarons, some great desserts, some great looking desserts as well, which, sort of works really well on social media. Now, really tragically, in July of this year, Zombo's went into voluntary administration. And in August, the administrators find that his companies may have been trading while insolvent since at least mid-2017. This is a real tragedy, and I find it really sad when this happens to any restaurant, particularly, and I think it's even worse when it happens to someone who appeared to be really successful, because it really does take the wind out of a lot of restaurants. It's like, wow, if this guy can't do it, then, who can? But I think there's a couple of things that we probably need to talk about. In 2007, he opened his first patisserie in Sydney, and over the next 10 years, he opens 8 more retail stores in Sydney and Melbourne. It was 2009 when he first appeared on MasterChef. And things really seemed to be going quite well for him. He was very popular, very great brand recognition, absolutely crushing it on Instagram. His Instagram page is still up there. Well, they're still trading, I think. 5,148 posts on Instagram, 399,000 followers on Instagram, which, you know what? That's a pretty big audience. 400,000 people following on Instagram is pretty big. A post from 12 hours ago has got 4,000 likes. And a lot of his posts are over 10,000 likes. I would say on average, his posts get probably 8,000 to 9,000 likes on Instagram. And this is one of the first problems that I think that we have. Obviously, a lot of effort has gone into the creation of the Instagram profile. They're posting at least once a day. some absolutely gorgeous looking food. Now, the problem is that you can't meet payroll with Instagram likes. And I've said this before. Instagram's a really interesting platform. You can get a lot of engagement with posts. My thing is it's very hard to get people out of Instagram, and it's very questionable about how much economic impact Instagram has had for Zombo. And it's interesting, I know this because we talk to restaurants fairly frequently who say, this is our Instagram strategy. And I say, how is it working for you? And now all of them say, either they say it's fantastic, at which point I say, and how many sales has it brought in? And they go, I don't know. Or rather than saying it's fantastic, they say, I don't know. Now, there's a couple of things that you can do to try and make Instagram a little bit more accountable. Firstly, I think it's a good idea to have a Instagram landing page. So rather than sending them just to your homepage, I think send them to an Instagram landing page where you can say, hey, Instagram followers, we're glad that you're here. That way it's really easy to track the traffic that is coming in. I know Google Analytics can be a little bit tricky when it's trying to work out how much traffic is coming from Instagram. Having an Instagram-specific landing page means that when you look in your analytics report, each visitor to that landing page, you can assume is an Instagram visitor or referral. The other thing that you could do is to use something like Google's URL creator so that it'll actually campaign tag each visitor that you've got coming from Instagram as coming from Instagram. That's another little trick that you can use to work out how much traffic is coming from Instagram. Now, the interesting thing is that once you do that, a lot of people get disheartened at the amount of traffic that's coming through. Instagram is designed to keep people on Instagram rather than getting, driving traffic out of Instagram. They want to keep you in there for as long as possible. And, we used to say just because you're big on Facebook doesn't mean that you're big. It's exactly the same with Instagram, except that I personally believe that, and this is based on what we do here at Marketing for Restaurants, and what we see for our customers is that it's a lot easier to be successful with Facebook than it is to be economically successful with Instagram. It is really something that you need to think about. Now, with all of these big statements, there's always going to be everyone knows that one guy who's absolutely crushing it on Instagram and is now leading a 14-figure lifestyle or something like that, the person who's mega successful with it and is pretty confident that it's with Instagram. I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm just saying that it's really difficult to do. And I think one of the things that's interesting is the co-creation of content space with Instagram. I think you're a lot better off creating content for Instagram, then taking it. You can post it directly through if you're time poor, isn't everyone. You can get it to post automatically into your Facebook, or it might be a little bit better to post it directly into Facebook. That means you don't get the hashtags. We don't use hashtags in Facebook. We don't think that they work very well. And we've done some experiments to see that as well. Put it up on Facebook and then run an ad to it. I think that's really the powerful way of doing it. The hard part is creating the content. You may as well have a crack at Instagram. You may as well pick up those few extra customers that you are going to get with Instagram. If you're average, you will get some sort of response from Instagram. It's not going to be massive. If you're just doing it with Instagram, I think you're going to be struggling. If you're just posting through with all of the hashtags and not running ads on Facebook, you're going to be struggling once again. I think the big messages that I would have for people thinking about Facebook. Now, back to Zombo. In 2015, he opened up an upmarket high tea restaurant called Fancy Nance in Melbourne. And the next year, 2016, he had his own reality TV show on a national TV station. That's a pretty good gig. That's got to be driving brand awareness for you. That is a massive public relations coup to have that kind of thing going on for you, your own TV show. But already you could see that there were issues with the way that the business was running. In May 2017, there were accusations that he was underpaying staff, and staff wages, it's a perennial problem around the world. In Australia, it's really quite a big problem. There's a wide range of issues that restaurant owners have with them, and there is a big tendency to pay cash under the table, and there were issues at Zombo's patisserie with that. And in June 2017, Fancy Nance stopped trading. Since then, he got a TV show with Netflix. That's not a bad gig as well. But that was announced in June 2018, and in July 2018, Zombo sold his house in Sydney for $1.7 million, and the companies went into voluntary administration. Now, this, I think, is really sad. This is the real impact of it. So not only have you got, the people working in the restaurants losing their jobs, you've got a guy who's been working really hard to build a business and he's lost his house in it. And I think that is a real tragedy. It's still early days for the whole story to come out, and I think, there's probably going to be, like a lot of business collapses, it's probably going to be multifactorial. It'll be changing ways in that they were sourcing their staff. It may be the fact that their marketing wasn't as effective as it could have been. I hope it wasn't, and I don't get too many indications, but one thing that I see is that some of the celebrity chefs think that they get too big. And you know what? Tragically, Jamie Oliver's an example of this. They get too big and they think that that brand name is going to drive people in, and they end up having an overpriced and pretty ordinary product. And an overpriced ordinary product, unless you've got an epic experience, you're going to fail epically. And, I think that's what happened with Jamie Oliver. Potentially, this is what happened with Adriano Zombo. The brand name just wasn't strong enough to drive people to keep coming back. I don't get too many indications of that. I don't think that some of the stuff was overly expensive. One of the things that a lot of people are talking about is the expansion into Fancy Nance, a high tea restaurant, very upmarket, really sort of like a sweets-based degustation menu. And the question, I've seen it, people writing about, did we ever need that? It was just something that people just weren't interested in. And I don't think it ever traded profitably. This would have been one of those things that I would have done as a pop-up to see if people were interested in it. And of course, you always get this honeymoon effect that never ends with a pop-up, because if you're popping up for a month, that's it. And people know that they've only got to get in there for a month. And if you're even vaguely interested in it, and in a month it's going to be gone, then people are super keen on it. Do you do a pop-up for a month? And then if it's wildly fantastic, do you do another pop-up for another couple of months? So just so that you can see what it's going to be like when demand really sort of dies down. I think that would have been a much better way than, and you know what it's like with fit out and all of those sort of things, particularly in that kind of environment. They might have spent $500,000 on fit out. Who knows what the fit out cost would have been? Then there's lease costs on top of that. There's an awfully large amount of coin that's being spent without the guarantee that, the people are going to come. And I think the big problem with Fancy Nance was that the people just didn't come, and the amount of losses that it was racking up really brought down the rest of the group, and that's really quite the tragedy. And so, on to restaurant gift certificates. So, this is something that I've been really quite interested in. I've been talking to quite a few restaurant owners about why they do or don't do restaurant gift certificates and how well they work. And I think there's been a bit of an opportunity there for something that's quick and simple, easy to manage, but also feeds into a restaurant CRM system. Because what a lot of people are doing is they're using their gift certificate as a separate bolt-on product. And I don't think that's a great way of doing it. Because if someone's buying gift certificates, you potentially want to, you want to know about that person. You want to be able to market to them, particularly, and this is one of the things that I think is really interesting, there are a few businesses out there that will buy restaurant gift certificates as a thank you for their customers. So they might be buying a truckload of gift certificates. You want to identify who the person is making the decisions in those places, and you want to reward them. Because often it's going to be a personal assistant or a secretary or someone like that. Boss isn't going to have the time to organise that, so he'll delegate that. He may not even know which restaurant it is that he wants the gift certificate for. He might just say to a PA, pick a nice restaurant and get some gift certificates for these 10 customers. Maybe $200. Now, that's a great way of doing marketing for the business. You've got a PA there who's spending $2,000. You've got a $2,000 customer. That is pretty cool. So you really want to have a really good understanding of who those people are. Because if it was my restaurant, I'd be giving that person a free dinner for two, because you really want to make sure that they are very happy with the product that you've done, and you want to give them a thank you. You want them internally to be driving, do we need to find another 10 customers who we should be giving gift certificates to? So what I thought I would do is all of the things that we talked about with the restaurant owners that we've been working with, I wanted to share them with you, because some people just don't, they either haven't thought about gift certificates, or they think, it's all really too hard to manage, and so they're not that keen on using them. Now, There's a couple of things. We've got about 7 items really all up that we'll go through. First off, improved cash flow. So, in general, if you run a QSR, then people pay you and then hopefully 60 seconds later they get their food. If it's a full service restaurant, then people eat the food and then they pay you. That's pretty much how cash flow goes for a restaurant. With a gift certificate, someone is going to purchase $100 worth of food and you will supply that food at some point in time. We don't know when, but the money is in your bank account. Now, that is a huge, huge advantage for you. From an accounting point of view, it should go in as a liability because you now have the requirement to provide $100 worth of food to someone. But the money goes into your bank account, and I think that is really, really cool. Particularly because, cash flow is one of those things that a lot of restaurants struggle with. You can use that extra cash flow to maybe pay off your suppliers a little bit earlier, maybe get some better terms from them. If you're financing your business on credit cards, maybe you can pay your credit cards off. And remember when we talked about how to take a holiday, really focused on holidays, you've got to be paying your credit cards off every month. Otherwise, you're paying an insane amount of interest. This is an easy way. You can pay that $5,000 credit card off potentially with the monthly gift cards that you're getting in. That is a pretty neat trick. So number one, improve cash flow. That's a really, really good way of doing it. Now, the next thing is your redemption rate or your breakage rate. So every gift certificate program is going to have a breakage rate. Now, that is the percentage of gift certificates that aren't presented to the restaurant. Now, the cool thing is, so when we talked about this, when we talked about the cash flow benefit, that the money goes into your bank, it's never going to be called on. So at some point, you're going to write the value of that card off, and that is just pure profit. So you've made a $100 sale, and that's $100 in profit. Ka-ching. Now, I did a bit of research to find out what breakage rates are, and a lot of people talk about them being 5%. So one of the interesting things is if you look at a Groupon deal, a lot of people are talking about 20 to 30% of Groupon deals don't actually get redeemed. And that's the only way that they can actually make their Groupon campaigns profitable is by relying on the fact that not all of the deals are going to be redeemed by the consumers. Now, Groupon has an issue with this because of the fact that the breakage rate is artificially high because a lot of vendors will put restrictions on when the Groupon deal can be redeemed. So you may not be able to do it over the weekend, or it'll be very short dated. So you may only have 4 weeks to be able to do it. And you think, oh, you know what? That's a pretty good deal. I'm going to purchase that. And then you think, oh God, I'm busy this weekend, busy next weekend. Oh no. And by the time you 5 weeks down the track, you're thinking, oh, I've got to use my Groupon deal this week. And then you realize that it's run out. So that's one thing to think about. I actually don't think, in that case, I don't think it's good because I think that a lot of consumers are going to be like, you know what? I'm not happy with that. I've been dodged by these guys. I wasn't able to use my deal. And it creates negative consumer sentiment towards your restaurant. That's not a great thing. When you're setting up a restaurant gift certificate program, one of the important things that you have to do is you have to work out what is legally required for it. So I won't go through the legislation here because there's a lot of it and it varies by state and country. But generally, they will cover things like what the expiry period needs to be and any other rights that consumers have when they purchase a gift certificate. Now, the next thing I think is really good about a gift certificate program is that it increases your customer base. And it does it in a really cool way. It actually gives you 2 contact details. So you're going to get the email address of the person who's purchasing the gift card and the recipient of the gift card. And it's interesting because they're actually 2 different people, and it's really important to understand that. Now, the first customer you get, they're the person who is actually purchasing the gift certificate. Now, they could be one of 2 people. They could be someone who, I might be buying a gift certificate for my wife. That's a formal thing. I can send her an email on her birthday to say, it's your birthday, let's go and eat at this lovely restaurant. I may or may not be a customer. She may or may not be a customer. But you've got my contact details and you've got my purchase history, the fact that I have purchased a gift certificate. There's a really interesting subset, though, of people who are buying gift certificates, and that's the corporate buyer or the serial buyer. So you might have someone who loves your restaurant or is a bit like me and is lazy and might give a gift certificate to a restaurant to multiple people. If they're a corporate buyer, this is fantastic. So they might be running a sales competition where the person who gets the highest sale will get a $250 voucher to your restaurant. They could be trying to butter up potential customers. So they may buy 10, 20, 50 gift certificates for your restaurant. And that can make a really big difference. And I think it's really important that those people, they go into your database and then you can, because if someone purchases $50, $200 gift certificates, you probably want to give that person a call. If they're the one with the decision-making capability, I would be giving them a $200 gift certificate so that they can come in. Because sometimes it's going to be the business owner, and in which case, they're going to like the fact that you've recognized that and you're going to give them a great experience for free. It might be a personal assistant. It might be an executive assistant. And these people probably aren't earning as much as the boss, and they're probably buying certificates. And I see this happen all the time. They're buying certificates for restaurants that they can't afford to eat in. So when if they've just given you, $1,000, $5,000 worth of business, it's always nice to pick up the phone and say, thank you so much. I would love for you and your partner to come in for a meal. That's a really good way that you can return that customer into a repeat customer pretty easily. And of course, the second customer that you get out of that transaction is the recipient. And this is great. They are locked in to come into your restaurant. Now, ideally, they will be a new customer to you, and they have they've got no decision-making capability in it. They have to go to your restaurant. That's a fantastic deal, because then it's over to you to provide that great experience to turn them into a repeat customer. And this is why it increases brand awareness. For someone who hasn't heard of your restaurant, they have now heard of the restaurant because wow, I've just got a $100 voucher. That's exciting. They're going to obviously jump on the website. They are going to come and experience the what it is that you've got going on at your restaurant. And I think that that's a really powerful thing. That lock-in, that mandatory experiencing of your restaurant, that's a really powerful opportunity to turn them into a repeat customer. Now, the next thing that I think is really cool about gift certificate systems is that this is product extension. Okay, so you've got your normal restaurant, and I know there's going to be niches and little interesting things that everyone's restaurant does, but generally, the transaction is that someone's going to come in, eat food, and then they're going to leave, or they're going to pay for it, hopefully, and then they're going to leave. This is a separate product that you're actually giving. This is where that product extension comes in. This is the ability to give a gift. For an event like Mother's Day, there will be people who might be living interstate or in a different country. They still want to give their mother a gift. And the beautiful thing about this, it's sent by email. So this is a nice and simple one to do. There's no shipping that needs to be organized. They're still going to want to give them a gift. Your restaurant is now in the mix to be that gift. So if they're not with their mother, you were never in the mix. They were never going to come to your restaurant. Now, the other thing that's really interesting about this is that, Mother's Day, Father's Day, all of those big celebration type events, everyone sells out on those. Everyone's taking their mother out on Mother's Day to do the right thing. It's kind of the law that you have to do that in a lot of countries. So everyone is booked out. This is product extension that gives you the opportunity to benefit from Mother's Day before Mother's Day and provide the experience after Mother's Day, because you wouldn't get your mother to use a gift certificate on Mother's Day to take you out to lunch, would you? Well, hopefully you wouldn't. So once again, you've got this breakdown. So for someone's birthday, now everyone has birthdays, and they occur 365 days of a year. Yes, the poor people who were born on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, that's sad for them. But everyone else has got birthdays on other days. So for them, you don't really get a big bump out of it. But for Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, all of those days when a gift certificate can be sold, you can make significant revenue out of this. Now, the next thing that's really cool about it is inflation. So, in some places, you have to give a gift card with a 5-year expiry date on it. Now, so someone purchases a gift card for $100. If they redeem that in 4 years' time and prices have increased by 15%, then that $100 will only be worth 87% of what it was. So it's kind of like they've gone in and bought $87 worth of food. The interesting thing is that they paid $100 for that 3 years ago. So you've actually, my thing is that any free cash flow, that should go down into paying your credit cards. There are some restaurants that have got that credit card debt running all the time. That $100, if you're paying 20% on your credit card, you've actually saved 3 years worth of credit card interest on that $100. That's $60, and then you're only providing them with $87 worth of food. So that's another 13% saving. That $100 has saved you $73, which is, so this is why it can be such a lucrative business to be doing gift certificates. Lastly, there is the upsell opportunity. And you know what? I am a sucker for the upsell opportunity. I'm happy to go out to a restaurant and spend $200 if I know that I'm only having to pay for drinks. And if I only have to pay for drinks, if I'm going to spend $150 on food, I'll drink $50. Now, I probably wouldn't drink the $50. This is across a family or, friends. I'm not an alcoholic. It's because psychologically, I'm thinking, I'm only paying $50. This is a cheap night out. So people are much more likely to spend more when they are going out. So they'll spend over that. They'll get that extra dessert. They'll get those extra drinks. And I think that this is it turns them into having a really great experience because they're happy to spend just a little amount. I'm going out. I'm only spending $50, but I'm getting a $200 experience because I've got a $150 gift card. Ka-ching. That's great for you, and it's great for me when I come out and enjoy my gift certificate. So these are some of the reasons why you should be thinking about gift certificates. And I know one of the issues that a lot of people have had is the difficulty in putting in a gift certificate system. And that's why we wrote our own. Because you know what? It ain't that difficult. People can go in, they put in the amount that they want for the gift certificate. You, of course, can configure the terms and conditions for it, expiry dates, denominations, however you want it to roll. And then, of course, an email gets sent to the recipient with the details of the gift certificate, and the purchaser gets their receipt. You get the email details of both. You can see what you've got outstanding as far as gift certificates go, and you can redeem it just on the computer. You can print out a list of all of the ones that you want if you need to, so that people don't have to have access to the system to be able to do it. They can just cross them off. Or you can redeem them through the system as well on your mobile phone, which I think is a really cool way of doing it. So that someone brings it in, you say, yep, you can check to see if it's valid. This is a big thing as well. You want to make sure that you are tracking that. I know a lot of restaurants have lost some money through either poor record keeping or dodgy customers. So I'll include a link in the show notes, free restaurant gift certificate system. Once again, it's like our online booking system and our online ordering system. We're really passionate about helping you to find new customers and turn them into repeat customers. I don't think that clipping the ticket is the business model that people should be using. We're in the 21st century here, people. Software is a lot cheaper to write than it ever has been. And the gift certificate, we've only probably spent about 6 weeks on it. So virtually nothing as far as dev. And that was only one developer out of our team as well. So we really didn't miss Brian for that long. He's produced a pretty robust system. We're keen to get your feedback on it. Like everything that we produce, it's really heavily based on the needs of restaurants. So we've been out to some of our beta customers, looking at this, testing it, working out what it is that people need. I'm keen for everyone to have a look at it and let us know what you think. What is it that you would like to see in the gift certificate? What is it you would like to see as our next free piece of software that we're going to put into your hands? So check it out. Send us in some feedback. Just send it to morecustomers@marketingforrestaurants.com. We're really happy to engage with as many restaurants as we can, both about this. We're doing this all the time with Frollo and Forbes. Lots of people send us lots of great information on how we can improve those products, or what's the next product that you would be looking at seeing. So that's about it. If you've liked this podcast, if you've learnt something about it, please leave a review on iTunes. That really helps us to get the word out. If you see it come up on Facebook, please share the post. It helps us to get the word out. We run a very lean team here. We've got a small sales team, a small marketing team. We're much more focused on doing marketing for you guys than for ourselves. And part of that is because of the fact that we've got evangelists out there who are spreading the word about marketing for restaurants and how we're helping to make a meaningful difference in people's restaurants all around the world. So that's about it. You have a busy week, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Want more customers for your restaurant, cafe or takeout? Every month, our marketing tools and information are used by thousands of restaurant owners just like you to help them find more customers and turn them into repeat customers. All of our tools and information is designed specifically for restaurant owners. We know you don't have a lot of time to spend marketing or learning complicated procedures, so our tools are quick and easy to use. If you're looking to increase your revenue and profits or want to work less hours, check out marketingforrestaurants.com.